So your credit score had been looking pretty healthy, and then all of a sudden it looked like it's coughing a little bit now, like it may have the Rona, but you don't know what happened. I'm going to share that with you coming up. Hey everyone, if you've been trying to work on your credit and you have barely been seeing any results, you need to go ahead and take a look at the workshop that I just opened up that is currently free so that you can learn where you went wrong while you were trying to work on your credit. During that lesson, you'll learn the 4 don'ts when it comes to working on your credit, the mistakes people make when writing dispute letters, why you shouldn't only dispute with the credit bureaus, and also the accounts that people waste time disputing. Not to mention, you'll get to see real results from a customer who used my methods and they were able to get their credit straightened out and bought a brand new home within 7 months. So go ahead and sign up for that training today. The link is going to be down in the bio. And while you're trying to work on your credit, you have to see all 3 of your credit reports and scores. And My Score IQ, a company that I use for myself and for all of my customers, has a $1 7-day trial so you can see your credit reports and scores so you can know where you stand, because you can't work on your credit without knowing what's going on all 3 reports. So please check out My Score IQ. The link to them is going to be down in the description as well. What's up, you guys? Will Frazier here, your credit expert, bringing you the credit tips to get your credit back on track, because what goes down must come up. And if you don't want your credit score to drop 400 points right now, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you can get notified of any new videos I drop just like this. So as I mentioned in the video, the Rona has your credit score coughing. What I mean by that is your credit score may have been looking pretty good, and then all of a sudden you notice a drop in your credit score and you may not know what has exactly went on. And most people were unaware that coronavirus is actually affecting people's credit scores, like literally. Now, some of you may already know what I'm talking about and you may have seen this, but others, you may not be aware of what's going on, and you need to be aware so that you can try to prepare yourself the best you can, or at least try not to get caught off guard by this. And when I say this is affecting people's credit scores, I'm not talking by a little bit, I'm talking by a good amount. So what am I talking about? How people's credit scores getting affected is basically tied to credit card companies. And it's not all of them, so don't get scared and think you need to go and cut up your credit cards and get rid of all of them, because that's not going to help the problem either. But over the last few months and recently, I've been hearing stories from some customers and some people I've done consultations with, and they've been telling me about issues that they've been having with their credit card company. Just today I had somebody that had a credit card with a major bank, and they had like a $5,000 credit limit in the past. And what happened was their credit limit got dropped all the way to $500. Now, without only looking at how that affects the amount of money that you have to spend, you also have to take into account how that affects one's credit score. Because with lower credit limits, it's a heck of a lot easier for your utilization on your credit cards to skyrocket or be high just off of a small dollar amount, which can negatively affect your credit score. And not only that, I had somebody else recently reach out to me and tell me that they had a bunch of high limits on credit cards with their current companies, and then those same companies, which this customer had a good payment history with and low balances on those credit cards, those companies completely closed her credit cards on her. I know, it's crazy, right? So when she was trying to get an explanation for what happened, they just told her that it was because they wanted to make sure that she didn't end up making some purchases that she didn't have the money for. So basically, as you know, what's been going on around the country, people have been losing their job. Businesses have been having to close down because they don't have enough money coming in. And because of this, of course, a person that has a high credit limit on a credit card is more likely to go to use that credit card to try to pay for and fund their monthly bills, food, gas, whatever you need for the house. And of course, if you don't have the income coming in to pay that back, that can lead to a charge off on that credit card. And if you didn't know, most credit card companies do like when you pay late because they get extra fees. And if you keep a balance high, they get extra fees. But they eventually do want you to pay, and they want to get that money. And if you don't pay at all, then they've given you a whole bunch of money that they can't account for because they won't have it to come back into their company. So this has been forcing a lot of credit card companies to feel that they need to cut down people's credit limits on credit cards and apparently close down people's accounts. Now again, I haven't seen this happening with just every credit card company, so you may not see something like this happen, but I have heard of at least a few bigger credit card companies doing something like this. And in the instance where somebody's credit limit got dropped from a high limit to an extremely low limit, it usually occurred right after they paid down their balance. So basically, the credit card companies won't lower your credit limit while you have a balance that would be higher than that lower credit limit. So they wait until you pay down the balance, and then they'll decrease it as you pay it down, which of course doesn't help you, because if you're doing that, you're probably paying it down to try to increase your credit score and lower your utilization. And every time they lower your credit limit, it raises your utilization back high to a point where it's affecting your credit score negatively. And God forbid they close the credit card, because we all know closing credit cards can drop your score tremendously. So I'm sure I've scared you enough at this point, and you're probably wondering, okay, what can I do to protect myself to make sure that this doesn't happen to me? Well, there aren't a whole lot of options in this situation, unfortunately, but what I can tell you is I've seen this happen with Chase Bank. I've seen it happen with Capital One Bank. As of right now, I don't have a list of companies that have been doing this, but of course I'll try to see what I can find out going forward. Now, I know there are a few accounts out there that are not doing this, and I can say that the Jewelry Club account that I do recommend people to get, and I will say that the account that I usually recommend to people for building up credit that guarantees a $5,000 limit, I haven't heard of anybody getting a decrease on that credit limit. So that might be something good to hold on to ensure that you don't end up in the trouble of having something closed out or having your credit limit decrease and increasing your utilization and lowering your credit score. And I'll put a link up which will take you guys to a video that I did explaining that card to you. And also I'll say this too, if you've been trying to get a credit limit increase on your credit cards and you've been finding it hard to do so and you really can't figure out what's the reason why, more than likely it's for the same thing that I've just disclosed to you, because of course if they're cutting down people's limits and closing people's cards, that means that they're probably not going to be giving increases out as easily as well. And again, this isn't affecting every company and every credit card, so if you haven't seen this, you're one of the lucky people that probably won't have to deal with that issue. If that will change later, we don't know. We'll just have to see, but hopefully once this pandemic thing is over with, we won't have to worry about stuff like that anymore. And again, this is just to give you an update on what's going on so that you are aware and you can try to prepare yourself and try to do the best to make sure that you're not blindsided by this, especially if you're trying to get your credit in place right now to try to do something like buy a house, buy a car, or even if you're trying to start a business. Anyway, I hope this information was valuable to you guys. Please leave any questions that you may have in the comments, or if you've had an experience with something similar to this, please also leave that in the comments. And if you're aware of any particular companies that have done this to you or somebody that you know, it would be helpful to let other people know so they'll have a heads up and they can get prepared and do what they need to do in order to make sure that they don't lose any points and have to suffer in the same situation. Again, thank you guys for watching the video. I'll see you guys next time.